Well, howdy, folks. How's it going today? I hope you're all doing really good. Well, today we're going to work on this little bowl back mandolin here. This was a gift or a trade for fixing the Lone Ranger guitar for my uncle. He picked these up from the same person, so I'm not sure of the age. I think it's got a little bit of age to it, obviously, but I'm still not sure of the maker and whatnot. I need to do a little bit more homework on it. If you guys find anything out, let me know. Okay, so in any case, we've got a big split in the top, and we've got this inlay here, and this is actually inlaid. I believe this is plasticine, and that may date this some too. In any case, they put a lot of effort into the inlay. So you can see we got a big split in the top here, and a few other issues. The braces have actually come unhooked from the outside edges here on the base side. Now I just got done taking my putty knife here, and it was actually lifted back here on the base side where the body kind of rounds off towards the tailpiece here. So I took my putty knife, I was able to start that in and come across and work it out of there. I also went under the fretboard, and that came right up easy too. It's old hide glue, which is quite brittle. It was still holding pretty decent, but in any case, I was able to cut it free without using any heat, which can happen sometimes with older instruments. You don't always have to heat them up. It's worth a try to do it, just dry cutting it. A lot of times you'll just get that started in there a little bit and, go a little ways and it'll just pop right up. So anyway, we have half of the top removed here. Let me slide that out. Okay, now there's some funny things here, okay? Now you can see daylight here where the binding is. So that needs to get glued back together, obviously. But it's really missing a lot of material here. It's also missing a bunch of material around the sound hole. And as you can see back here on the base side, around the binding, that's missing some material. Now the bracing is kind of funky on an angle, and this does have kind of a bent top. They call it something special. I forget the name now, but they do that so you have better brake angle over the saddle and the bridge. In any case, you can see the braces are unhooked from the side here, and this brace up here is also loose. Now it's solid across here. I will put some glue in here before I glue the top back on it. So what I need to do is actually glue these braces back in there, clamp them up, tight. I do have this little piece that chipped out. It's taped to the bridge here. I'll remove that as well. And, that's really all we can do. Now, I know that needs to be pushed all the way, because when I put the top on there, I can squeeze that with my hand and close the gap completely. So I think the shape will be fine when we get it in there. Now, there is one piece here that's kind of uneven, and I'll probably address that afterwards. I may try to put a clamp in there as I clamp this to glue the braces to the side, just to hold the shape correctly. And then I can just put some glue in there. So in any case, we got our work cut out for us on this one. I think it can be done. It's really probably the best way to do this. Now, I kind of got lucky with the top being split down the center, because I can just take that section out and do all the repair work that I need to do, glue that back on. We should be good to go. It may not fit exactly, that's part of the gig sometimes, but we'll make it right in the end. And again, you know, I did a dry run with some clamps to see if I could close up that gap. And it did close up quite nicely. Enough so I'm pretty sure I can get this inlay to lay back down in the, you know, spot where they've removed the material to accept it here. Again, like I said, you know, somebody put some work into that. I don't know if it was done by hand or not. It is a little misshapen, so I am going to have to take a clamp and kind of flatten that out right there. You can see there's a hump. There's material missing. And as far as all this material missing, I'll probably take some glue and sawdust and fill that in just to strengthen it. You know, it's really not going to last long like that. So we do need to fix that. I did notice this too. There is some support that goes around here that I guess you could call it kerfing. They've got some slight saw cuts in there, not very deep. You can see a couple right there on an angle. And I'm sure they wet that down to bend it. Now, there's a piece broke right here that's missing, which I'm guessing goes to the tail block. Now, I did feel inside, and there is a piece that goes all the way around on this side. So we're going to have to make one of them too. But for now, we're going to get these braces clamped up and get them glued together, and that'll at least start the madness. All right, let's do it. All right, we're going to use some Tight Bond hide glue here. I've been using this lately, and I actually quite like the way it works, so I'll probably continue to use it and may pick some more up here in the near future. All right, let's get some glue in there. Just kind of let that run down in as best I can. Now, I got to pick up on these at the same time when I clamp it, just to make sure they're flush to the top and everything. So I'm just going to wiggle them up and down a little bit, try to get that glue moved around in there so it kind of runs down. All right, let's get a clamp on it. Take a piece of cork padding. This is just a piece of a drink coaster. I have these laying all over the shop, so I use them all the time. And you know, it's a cheap way to go. Well, I say cheap, but they work good. You can break them in pieces, and I reuse them all the time too, so kind of handy. Okay, now that feels pretty good. Just want to make sure it's flush on the top and we're on the same elevation here. Okay, I'm going to put just a little bit more glue on that just to make sure. It helps when you pop the cap open. Alright, I'm going to wipe off the excess here in a second too. Get that cleaned right up. I really don't want it running down the sides. Okay, I think we'll call that good. Just kind of let that do its thing. Alright. Okie doke, well, we just got done taking the clamps off here after pinching this together and glued the ends of these braces down. Excuse the hands, I got Gorilla Glue on my hands from a different project. Any case, we let that sit overnight, and those two braces are good and solid out there and hooked to the sides. Everything's pinched back together. Now the front brace right here, right at the end of the fingerboard extension, is also loose. I want you guys to think that I didn't fix that, but I wanted to get this pulled in first. I just hit this with some CA glue, so I'm going to take the clamp off that and check it out. Oh yeah, good and solid. Now a little trick here, when you're trying to clamp a shape like this, your clamp will, as you tighten it up, it'll just push itself off the instrument. because it's such a steep angle and a curve here. So the trick is take a couple pieces of cork padding, or take a caul of some sort that's cut on an angle so you can get your clamp on there. Now that still slides pretty good on there, and it'll end up hitting the fretboard and stopping, but I found the best result is 2 pieces of cork padding. This is probably almost a 1/4 of an inch thick. So I double those up on both sides, and it's enough so it'll bite on the steep curve here, and you're able to get some pressure. Just a quick little tip. I'm going to have to use that same clamping system when I glue the fretboard extension back down onto the top. I'm going to have to pinch that up too, so I'm going to have to be clever about it, I guess. Maybe I should concentrate more on speaking. Well, I think this is going to actually work once I get everything hooked back together. I need to remove this tail piece as well. If it doesn't work out, I guess you could always make a high-lie racket out of it. Or maybe a bean dipper, If you're from Maine, you might know what I'm talking about. We cook whole beans, basically baked beans in the ground. It's quite a process. I'll try to document that for you folks sometime. Basically you dig a hole in the ground, build a fire in there with some good hardwood, let it burn all day, and keep filling it, keep stoking it with wood till it's full of coals. And then you shovel the coals out, you get your beans all mixed up in your pot, cast iron. You got to use cast iron. A Dutch oven is probably the way to roll. I got a bunch of different selections of cast iron pots and whatnot. So anyway, you get your mixture all in your pot, shovel the coals out, you set the pot right down in there and put the coals back in, and then cover it up. Usually with a piece of metal or something, then you put some dirt on the top of it. You come back, the next day, next morning. I usually put them in the evening, dig them up in the morning. They're still hot, nothing like it. You can cook anything in the ground, chili, spaghetti sauce, pot roast. It's quite a process, really fun to do. There's a lot of hydration usually going on when you're stoking the fire and fighting the black flies, but it's all good. Well, hopefully I can play this thing while I'm, letting the fire go someday in the bean pot. The bean hole, I should say. Anyway, I think this is going to be pretty good. Now, we've got one issue here on one of these slats, or staves, I guess you could call them. And there's another one that's kind of got my attention here. I'm going to probably put some hide glue or fish glue in those. And this one I may not be able to clamp, but it's okay. Now, there's one right here that's sticking out by the rest of them. Now, I can pinch that in, so same thing. We'll put some hide glue or fish glue on there, and that should take care of it. I guess the next thing to do is to make a piece of kerf here to go around. I'm going to take the tail piece off and see what's going on there. I've pulled some of this paper down so I can actually get the glue in on this stave. When I do that, I'll put the paper back up and glue it. I guess they did this just to kind of hold the bowl together and glued it. I say it's a sound killer. I've thought about even taking it out. It's really not serving much of a purpose right now, so maybe when they were building it. But I'd almost rather have the wood, resonating the noise instead of this paper numbing the noise. Again, I don't think it's doing much right now, so I may actually remove this. Now, some people might think that's the wrong idea, but I really would like to see the joints and the staves here as well, so I may do that, I don't think it's going to be a big deal breaker. I'm not selling this. I just want to play it, but I want it to sound as good as it can. So, you don't put a piece of paper in your acoustic guitar or a pillowcase or something, right? You know, I don't know. My opinion. Anyway, that's really not a big deal right now. So we got to make a piece here to reinforce this. We'll take this tail piece off first and see what's going on underneath there and in the back as well. But I think we got something that's going to probably work here. You know, not an easy fix, but I think it'll be well worth it. Okie doke, well, they got those nailed in. The tail piece has 3 small nails. I'm going to see if I can get those out with maybe a pair of pliers here. Yeah, I guess if I put a little moss into it, sorry about that. We got it though. Just a small nail. An old nail by the looks of it. I'm going to do the same thing. There we go. I really didn't want to put a claw hammer on there or a big pry bar or anything, so yes sir. Alright. Okay, well, everything looks pretty good here. Man, that must have been quite a job bending that without breaking it. Beautiful piece of maple here. Some nice figuring in it. Now, I did just notice something. I thought I could feel some sort of curve here on the treble side. And it actually stops in the same place that this side does. I'm able to reach in there and I can feel where it stops right there. So I guess I don't need to put anything in here, which is a good thing. Now, you can see they just kind of broke that off. So, you know, I'll probably actually cut that off straight. It's really thin and it's kind of like touching the wood, so it's just going to vibrate and do funny things and make weird noises. So we're going to clean that up, and there is a slight separation right here. Not bad. I'll probably just hit that with a little CA glue and just pinch that in a little tighter. The other thing, this brace, now that I've clamped it, has pushed out a little bit. I'm going to cut that back. You know, that's how it goes. The top does seem to fit really nice here too, so I think we're on our way to something good. We are going to re-glue these braces, you know, from the inside here. I have only one shot at doing it, so they need to get re-glued. They're not loose, but man, you know, you don't have any better chance than this. I may put some glue around the tail block as well. Just because I'm here, I have access to it, and just to make sure it's adhered good. You know, this is quite old, like I said, so that glue has crystallized quite a bit. You know, when I took the top off, that come off just like butter. Okay, well, I think we're looking pretty good here. I do have to replace this little piece of this rosewood that chipped out, and I have it. I saved it, and we'll just put a little CA glue or even some hide glue and get that secured in there. Probably, you know, at the end of the day or whatever, that'll be one of the last things I do, just so I can, you know, hit some of the major stuff here. Alright, so I took some of this paper out right here. I peeled some of it out. A lot of it is loose, and it's going to do weird things. Now what we're going to do is fix this one stave that's kind of pushed out and it's uneven with the other ones. So what I did, like I said, was took the paper out of there along that seam, because I want to put some glue in there and then clamp that and get that secured. And then I'm going to fix these braces, put some glue on them and the tail block, like I said, and then we can put the top back on, I would say. I am going to strip out some of this paper too. There's a bunch of paper that's loose in there, and you know, it's got to go. All right, let's get some glue out. All right, well, I'm going to put some hide glue in here. Like I said, I'm just trying to get it to span that whole seam if I can, and get some glue in between where it's split here, uneven or separated, whatever you'd like to call it. Alright, so I'm going to put a good amount in there to make sure I got it. Okay, that ought to do it. Just kind of working it in that place where it's uneven. I'm going to wipe away just a little bit on the sides here. I guess I took too much. Okay, that's pretty good right there. Alright, let's get some clamps on it. Okay, well, I put a little more glue. That split kind of ran up into here, so, you know, you got to double check that stuff. Make sure you got it all covered. Sometimes them little breaks and cracks can hide themselves. Come on, Jake. Alright. Little piece of cork padding in there. Now I got to make sure that I'm not on that outer piece. Okay. Same with this one. I'm riding a little high there. I got to move my clamp down. Okay, well, that evened it up quite a bit. I need one more clamp right there, and that will take care of it. Alright. Yeah, that's nice and flush there now. A lot of clamps. It's not really all the force, it's just to span the whole seam here. I've been using these little clamps a lot. I bought a little 5-pack or something on eBay for $15 or whatever it was. They're a good size though, and they work really well. And like I said, I've been using these a lot. So there we go, folks. We're going to let that dry. And like I said, I'm going to have to get my clamping set up ready, so when we put the top on, we can glue the fretboard extension down all in one shot. And it's going to be a little tricky. We're going to have a lot of clamps squeezing the top together. We need some to hold it down onto the bracing and the sides as well. So I've got to get my clamps out, maybe make a few calls, and you know, do a dry run on it before we put the glue on it. And you always have to do that. Never get the glue out until you're ready. Put all your clamps on, get all your padding, your, you know, calls ready. You know, again, do a dry run. Don't get caught out in the breeze. Trust me, I've been there. You'll be wiping glue off and cutting the guitar back a pad or whatever you gotta do. But you learn from experience. I'm just trying to save you guys a little headache, that's all. Alright, let's keep rolling. Alright, well, while we're letting that dry, I'm going to repair this piece on the top here that I removed. As you can see, the binding is really coming off there in good shape. Now, that's a tricky one to clamp. And thought I'd share this with you guys. Okay, you take these cheap plastic clamps. You've all probably got some laying around. If you look close, there's a groove right in the middle here on the teeth, what have you, the jaw. Now, if you line that up on there, get that right in the center, okay. Now that pinches that up pretty good. It's not too bad. I'm going to push that up just a little bit more, just to get all I can. I can still see a little bit of daylight there, but it's not really that bad. Now I may be able to put, you got to be careful of that. You don't want to break nothing. Now I don't want to dent this either, because this needs to mate up to the rest of the top. So I'm going to have to use some padding here. Maybe on that side. Maybe not, though. I mean, it's really a tough decision, but at the end of the day, I need to get that pushed together somehow and keep it flat. So what I'm thinking is probably pinching it down in this area and then just taking another clamp and putting it on kind of an angle like that. Now that'll keep it flat, and I can kind of push that end together too. I think I can make something happen there. All right, well, I've thought the process a little bit now. Again, I'm taking one of these cheap plastic clamps. If you roll the little jaws up, there's a notch behind them here where they sit. Well, that just so happens that I can put that in that notch, pinch that together nice. Everything's good and tight. I think I'll take another one and just clamp it flat here just to make sure it's nice and flat. Now that feels pretty good. So, you know, it takes a little thought and a little practice every time. Everything's different that you're working on, so you're gonna have to make this up as you go sometimes. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. All right, let's get the glue out. All right, we're gonna put the hide glue right to her here. Try to be nice about it and not make a mess, but that's okay. We can wipe that right off. Okay, got a good healthy dose on there. I'm just going to work that back and forth a little bit, kind of wipe some of it in on the crack. Make sure we got some on the back side here too. A lot of this will get wiped away here in a second, but we got to make sure we get it in the right place where it's going to get joined together. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's wipe some of this off the top. Get that cleaned up real quick. And wipe a little off the back here. All right, let's get a clamp on it. I'm going to wipe that just one more time on the top to be sure, because we are going to get some that squeezes out there. And we only need it in the crack here, so here we go with the clamp. Okay, now I'm going to hold this up to the light real quick. That looks pretty good. I can't see any daylight. Now the binding is rolled down slightly, so I think we'll put one on the end too. Alright, that's what it looks like. We got one pinch in the very end. Now I've got it in that groove in the clamp here. That's keeping that very end tight. And this one's pinched in the middle. I've just kind of got this one up next to the other one to keep everything flattened out as best I can. This probably won't end up being perfect, but it won't be broke anymore anyway. And at least we know it's going to be solid when we hook her back together. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I can do for now. I found another crack here that I'm going to have to address too as we go along. So, again, all kinds of little surprises along the way. I got to figure out a way to set this down so it doesn't come apart. I guess that'll be okay. That's going to be it for today, folks. I know this was kind of a long process, but it's a long process. You know, it's just how it goes. You kind of take it as it goes. Things unfold along the way, and you just got to deal with it. I would say we're about halfway through, though, and everything's looking pretty good. Got a Canadian geese flying by. And in any case, we're going to address the fretboard that in the next video. There's some fret wire pushed out. We're going to knock that back over. I still don't know if that's brass fret wire or not either. We'll address that as well. I'm going to clean everything up. It's got a pretty fretboard on it too. I'll get that cleaned up and oiled up as well. So again, things are starting to straighten out with this little thing. It's in a lot better condition than it was. And again, we just got to let this stuff dry. Take the time to let it dry correctly too. Let it dry for at least 24 hours with this stuff. I like to. Now this crack that we just fixed with all these clamps on the bass side, there's another one on the treble side. Same exact stave is kind of uneven. So what we're going to have to do is figure out a way to clamp that. We'll have to put a block under, the top that's still hooked to this thing and, clamp it that way so we can actually push that out and even that one up too. And, that's something that we're going to have to address. I may not put that on video, but I did want to explain how I was going to do it. Basically the same way we did the bass side, but we'll have to use some spacers of blocking here to push that stave out. Once that's glued, I'm going to flip this thing over and get some glue on the braces under the top that's still hooked to it and around the curving. Get that all taken care of. So then all we'll have to do is glue the other half of the top back on and the fretboard extension, and we should be pretty much good to go. I do have the bridge for this, so that's a plus. I need to see if I have some mandolin strings. I may have to order some of those too. So we'll try to get this one back together and up and running here real soon. Thanks again for watching, folks. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys get some enjoyment out of this and hopefully some useful information. And if not, maybe just a couple laughs, and hopefully you enjoy it, like I said. We'll see you guys real soon. Be good, and okie doke.